anyways, we go to work together. She gets fired. They give her money to take a cab home.
That's nice of them.
So when Alessia's leaving in a cab or whatever, I'm called in right away. We don't even have a chance to talk. They tell me during letting me go that they just let Alessia go. And my first thing is, but I drove her here. And they're like, we gave her money for a cab. And I'm just thinking, like, if you think that we're going to our respective houses after this and we're not going to end up together talking about this.
Literally.
Like, you couldn't have let the girl wait outside. Like,
I remember I was dating my ex-boyfriend at the time, and I call him in the car, and I'm like, they fired me.
Yeah.
And he's like, but you were unhappy there anyways. You didn't really want to work there. I'm like,
yeah, that's coming from someone that has money.
You're listening to the X Podcast. The X you keep coming back to.
Today I'm joined with one of my all-time best friends. Give it up for Rachel Victoria Sargent.
Wow, what an intro.
Oh, thanks,
Thanks, babe. Glad to be here again.
I don't really know how to intro you. I have like a few things that I thought about saying, but then I'm like, you know what? Like, I'll let you speak for yourself.
I don't even know. It's so weird. So Alessia and I are going away next week.
Yeah.
She's like, I need a last minute episode. Can you come on?
Wow, make them
And I'm
already
like,
think this is going to be shitty.
Oh my God, no. Okay, well, whatever. But anyway, so like we always have these like crazy conversations, and then like we've seen so much of each other recently that I'm like, what do we have left to talk about?
I know. And I even
And-
picked you up in the car and we're like, do we talk? Do we
Do
not?
we not talk? Yeah. You know what? I think we could just kind of do like rapid fire talk about things.
Yeah, for
Just,
sure.
like,
For sure.
we'll
so
just have fun.
Yeah. So before we start the episode, I just want to give some context that I met Rachel. First of all, Rachel, you've been on the podcast before.
Yeah.
Like
Like one of your first ones. Or
one
something.
of
One of the.
one of the first episodes ever.
Don't bother going back to watch it.
Oh.
We're good. Like,
we're literally good on that end. Everyone goes and watch.
yeah.
And so we actually met through my first job out of college.
Yeah.
So I got out of college and I was like, social media, let's go do something with content in the fashion world.
Okay, to give you guys context, we worked for a company
Yeah.
based out of Montreal that was
Seamless activewear.
Seamless Activewear. We had some like accounts, wholesale accounts. Well, not, yeah.
You were in sales and I still, by the way, to this day, I can't even tell you what my job was. Can you?
Bringing the vibe.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. I think that was the reason I stayed so long.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we worked there for so long and it's like do you want to explain how we met?
Oh, so I walked in for an interview and it was you and another girl.
Crystal.
Shout out Crystal.
Yeah.
We love her. We miss her.
She lives in Paris
She
now.
lives in Paris now. And I walked in and you guys were just like, hey, like, I think
No, you're forgetting the story. Okay, you hold on there. I know you're the guest, but you don't remember shit. So we met at an oyster party.
after the interview.
No.
That's how you knew me.
No.
Yeah.
Wait.
You said, oh, you're the girl that just came in.
Oh, you're right. Sorry, I'll let you say the story.
Oh my God, you better keep that in, eh?
Yeah.
You getting mad at me with the Ron story.
Okay, go. Sorry.
Anyway, so I go in. It's for this interview. I'm waiting like in the lobby, and you and Crystal or whatever.
We're on our computers. We're working.
You're on our computers. They're offering me tea or something. They seem nice enough.
Yeah, you came
Yeah.
in with blonde hair. By the way, just set the scene. You came in with blonde hair for your interview.
Okay.
And then it's gonna make sense. And then when I saw you at an oyster bar outside festival party, you had brown hair. You had like dyed your hair right after the interview because when I saw you, I'm like, is that the girl? Is that not? Yeah. So you
I
went.
feel like I hadn't. No, because when I worked there, I had blonde hair.
No, you went back to blonde, but you had brown.
Okay.
Anyway, whatever. So we're not gonna start fighting
No
now.
one gives a shit. Anyway, so I'm at a festival. It's not a festival.
It's like an
oyster fest.
an oyster-
Whatever.
yeah,
it's like an
oyster-
outdoor, like they do like a oyster shucking competitions and whatever restaurants all
Whatever. We
gather
both like
together.
oysters. We were there
Yeah.
with different
So,
friends.
Pretty much went every year, and then this year we ran into each other.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, that's the girl who just came for an interview.
Yeah.
I don't know if you had the job at this point. Whatever.
I don't know.
Whatever. But anyway, so basically she came
Oh
for
my
the-
God, I did, because I was gonna start that next week.
Okay,
It was the weekend, and I was like,
You're like, can I be at this oyster place knowing I start a new job on Monday?
did it. Did it.
So yeah, so that's it. So then when I saw you at Oyster Fest, I was just like, you were with an older man. So I thought it was your grandfather. Not only was it not your grandfather or your father.
No, the best is that Alessia just said, hi, oh my God, you're the girl that's going to be working, blah, blah, blah. How's it going? Let's do a shot.
Yeah.
And we like do a shot, and she goes, does your grandpa want one?
Did I say grandpa or
You
dad?
actually said grandpa, because there was these some other guys that she was with,
Oh,
like,
yeah, I
and they
remember.
were like, like, and she's just like puppy dog, like, does your grandpa want one? Like, not malicious, just like,
no malicious intent.
right away, I was like, this is my girl.
I know what you mean.
This is my girl.
She's so like delusional. She's not even trying to be malicious.
Giving her the eyes, like, if you bring this shit up at work on my first day, I'm gonna kill you.
Oh my God, literally. So after that, I remember the guy was like, why'd you say grandfather? I think that's like her man's. And then I'm like, oh shit, who are we hiring here at ClimateAware?
Yeah. Oh yeah, because you're a little saint.
So then she comes to whatever, she starts at the job and whatever. I think one of the days I just like emailed her and I was like, let's go for lunch.
Yeah.
And then the rest is history.
Yeah.
And then every job I went to after that, she literally followed me. And yeah, so that's the story of how
I'm trying to think of what other. Oh, CB.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One
Other job.
yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't get you into the first one, but I got you into the second.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, shut the fuck up. I'm
Yeah.
always the better worker anyways. I always bring in Rachel and then show them how bad I am by bringing in someone better, but then they feel like they can't fire me because like I brought in Rachel.
I don't know why you don't just say like you are a recruiter.
I know. I think I would
Quit doing the role that you're doing and just be like, guys, I think I'm just officially the recruiter.
no, literally. I
And
think
it's only me. It's only me.
I'm crying. Anyways, whatever. That was the big joke when we met each other, though. Like that was like the vibe that really like set up like our relationship. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
that we like men with money.
Yeah.
I mean,
There
no.
we go. Yeah. True.
So yeah, that was kind of the vibes. And now we worked together in a previous job before I went fully like out.
Yeah.
And now we're going to LA together. How do you feel?
We're going to LA on Monday.
Do you want to
for a
give
week.
some context?
I work for a company now that does luxury wholesale
Consignment.
consignment. I don't know why I said wholesale. It's a bit
Yeah.
of wholesale. We have an online platform, all of that. All to say, anyways, we're going with the owner, who is a celebrity stylist.
Yes.
So he's been living there for a little bit.
Yeah.
We're going to meet him.
By the way, guys, I worked there for I don't know how long. He always said like he would bring me on a trip and never did. And now that I'm no longer working for him and he's like, do you want to come? I'm like,
We're going.
we're going.
Yeah.
And it's like so fun to know that like we could do this together.
It'll be so fun. It's still going to be work,
Yeah, right.
but it'll be very fun.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, so that should be interesting. We're staying at
Bella Thorne's mom's house.
we're staying at Bella Thorne's mom's house.
I don't know, like,
I don't know how to, like-
private that is. Like,
Well, we're staying in the guest house.
yeah, the pool house.
The pool house, sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know how to feel about this. Like, is Bella Thorne gonna like come to see her mom and then we're gonna be like, hey, what's up? And then I'm gonna be like, can you come on the podcast?
I don't know.
I don't know how that's
I
gonna
don't know.
roll. But like the thing with your boss and honestly our friend at this point
Yeah.
is that he knows so many celebrities. So I'm like interested to go also for my podcast just to like make connections.
That's why I was like, you have to.
Come.
It's just, yeah, we're going to be in this
He
little micro world where it's just this person knows this person, this person.
Yeah,
this
like
person.
he
You
styles
never know where that's going to go. It's good
Yeah.
for-
like he styles
anything.
Carmen Electra. Like who are some people? The cast of Selling Sunset.
Selling
He's worked with
Sunset,
like
The
Brie, Chriselle.
the Real Housewives. Yeah, we pretty much work with a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that should be interesting.
it'll be fun.
The last time I went to LA was alone, so I'm down to like do it now with like 2 other people,
Yeah,
you know?
the last time I went was a long time ago too.
Really? Who'd you go
And I
with?
went alone.
Did you also?
Yeah, I went for my dad's company. I went with some of his colleagues essentially, and I did like promotional work. Let's just go on to talk about things that we talk about all the time. So one thing about Alessia
Oh God.
and I, no, it's not that.
Okay.
Like, I remember when you first started the podcast with Veronica.
Yeah.
You guys have similar personalities, obviously, because you're friends, but you're also so different. So there was a lot of like, the conversation would be like back and forth and kind of like, I don't agree. I do. This
Yeah.
is my position. And
That's so true. I never
so
talk about that.
At one point, we were like talking, like, it wasn't like a thing of like, we're going to have a podcast together or anything.
Yeah.
But at one point, like, we were just talking, like, imagine if you and I together, it would be like, I know. Yeah, I know.
Which is sometimes
Okay.
not good.
It's like, there's no, we finish each other's sentences.
I know.
We always think the same thing. We're in a situation, someone does something, we just look at each other, like, we know.
I know.
We're both cringing at this, like,
I know.
So-
and then you agreed with a lot more of my takes than you did with Veronica's, which
Yeah.
is, I feel like when the podcast kind of started, more people agreed with her, which is okay.
really?
Like, I don't
Okay.
think I'm like everyone's type of flavor, you know? I think
Yeah.
it's like sometimes when I felt like, oh my God, like, am I crazy for feeling this way? Am I crazy for thinking these things? And then I would get confirmed by you. I would be like, okay, well,
maybe I'm just crazy too. Okay. I'm so glad that me believing what you're saying is reassuring. That's really good.
I'm fucking crying. I just think we're similar in a lot of ways, and we share a lot of like similar things,
Yeah.
You know.
Absolutely.
you know? So yeah, there's that.
Yeah.
So before even moving on, I have to say the fucking famous boss story that we never said when we worked at our first job together.
Okay.
We're gonna forget the part where like we both got fired the same day together.
Oh my God. Okay.
I was working there for maybe 2 years. You were working there for like a year. And like our bosses had left.
It was way more than that. You were
Okay.
probably like 3 and I was like 2 or something.
Okay, we're doing the annoying
Whatever.
timeline.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
No one gives
whatever.
a shit.
Like no one gives up.
No one gives.
Literally. Literally. So whatever. So I remember when the bosses left, you know when you're working at a job and mentally you've already checked out. You know, it's like we do it when with guys when we're out of a relationship. We
When
check
I'm-
out before.
It's always when I'm 2 months in.
It's always when I first start the first
I first
day.
start and I say, you know, fuck, did I bullshit this interview?
Literally.
Why do I want this job? I have to pay my rent.
Like it's just like it's a mess.
5 p.m. I'm out.
Oh. So basically, the day we got fired, okay, so our bosses were like on a trip. I remember our bosses were on a trip, and I think subconsciously I was like not going to like quit, but I needed that push under my ass, that fire to get fired. And when they were on the trip, I feel like I was really rebelling. You know, there's always that one person that's like pss, 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 whispering to the boss when they get back. If like you show up late or like you show up late with your,
Oh, yeah.
with your Starbucks and you're like, sorry, I'm late.
Can you just be a girl's girl?
Like literally, but we didn't have a lot of that at that job. We didn't. It was me, you, and Crystal. The rest of the people were like, I mean, Christina was nice, but like, I didn't.
Sarah too. Love Sarah.
Yeah, I didn't trust a lot of people though.
Well, I think it's just there were certain girls that really took
The job serious.
not the job seriously. It sounds bad, but she's social media. I'm sales. A lot of our job is kind of like all over the place, being like
Yeah.
high energy with clients, and then like your client meeting is done, you do your notes and stuff, then you're like peace. Like, so for the girls that are like computer data
Production
entry,
or
you know, they have to be there by 8 a.m. because they're filling something out where it's like, you know, our days can go on longer because, you know, like for example, I was in sales, like I'm traveling or I'm doing
Yeah.
like a client meeting that goes way over. I don't get a lunch hour, like things like that. It's kind of like, I've never been the type of person that's like 8 a.m. That I hate that.
I know.
I'll work my ass off. I'll get my job done, but like,
Don't tell me when
shut
to.
the fuck up. I don't need to like. You took 5 pee breaks today. Like,
No, literally.
I'm not gonna enjoy my work. I'm not gonna be happy.
and you're
if
gonna
I'm-
work less.
If I feel like I'm like being like that, it's, you need to be confident in sales and social media. You need to feel like you're out there. Like, I don't know. It's
If my company ever grew, I would literally make it a point that like one, Fridays were off. I know it sounds crazy. One, Fridays are off.
1000%.
Two, like, or Fridays you finish at 2. I would make it so enjoyable for someone to want to work for me. Come in when you want, finish when you want.
get your work done.
Get your work done, literally. It's
Get
not
your work
about-
done.
You know how many like people work
Right.
for a company and they're working? It's like work smart, not hard. Do you know how many people are like, yeah, I was there. I clocked in at 8 and I finished at 5, but you did just as much as like the new person who did it in 3 hours. Like it's not about
1000%.
how
1000%.
long you worked. It's about did you get your work done?
What did you do?
What did you do exactly? And I
Yeah.
feel like that's really lost in a lot of companies.
So many.
So many. It's like
how you like
somehow
all these
you
people-
justify the amount of work you've done with the amount of hours you worked, where
Yeah.
it's like, no, I've seen literally young people with so much more. And that's another thing, like, oh, I have this much experience, so I must be better than you. It doesn't mean anything. Sometimes
No.
because you've had so much experience, you've only been taught a certain way, you have not adapted. Versus
Yeah.
somebody coming in who's new,
Is more open
they're
and
more
willing to learn
open,
and
willing to
try.
learn, and they have like new techniques.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot that's lost in the 9 to 5 world,
For sure.
you know?
I think it also just creates like I don't know, maybe the structure and everything is good for certain people. I'm not to say that like I don't have hours that I work between
Yeah.
and everything like that, but I think that like mentality of very 9 to 5, you're at your desk,
You just start to
I
feel
have
like
go
a
for
robot.
dentist appointment. You're not going to get passionate workers that feel like they're invested in it as well, that they're like excited, that they're balancing their life. If it's going to feel like
Work.
a death sentence,
Yeah.
like you're in prison and your only life freedom is after this time, and
Yeah.
it's
I think a lot of companies though are adjusting and doing like activities and like fun things, but like make sure that shit that you plan is on work hours.
okay. Yeah, I
You
was
know
gonna
what I-
say these fun activities, if they involve my colleagues, are not fun activities.
Unless it's me.
No, I'm kidding. Like there are certain things, but yeah, during work hours. But like I've been to companies where it's like, guys, from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. we're doing a potluck thing.
It's like why
I don't want to eat your food.
I am clocked
And
out at 5.
I'm going home and I'm gonna go out for dinner with actual friends.
Literally. I think a lot of times they do this to make sure that you're all like kind of connecting and stuff. But I think sometimes when it's like off work hours, it feels like a task you have to do and like you're working more and then you feel like you should be getting paid for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, like, so I think that's one thing. If like any companies are fucking listening, you want to plan something, it's
on
during
the company.
Yeah.
It depends how, when people say, oh, we're a family. There are companies that feel like that.
Right, but the reason they feel like that is because they gave them that space to kind
Yeah.
of create that family. They
Absolutely.
didn't force it.
No, exactly.
You know?
Anytime someone feels like someone's breathing down their neck or they
That's
feel
when it
very
happens.
like you're just losing people.
I remember
You're
at a
losing
point-
their like will.
I remember at a point I was like scared to come into your room because it's like, oh, everyone's going to start chatting because we're like getting along. It almost feels like it's a bad thing that we were getting along.
100%.
And it's not like work was like changing dramatically because we were talking for
No,
5 minutes, you know?
exactly.
It's like they want people to get along, but then it's like the second they get along, then it's like, well,
Oh, people resented us for being friends.
it's crazy to think.
It was like, yeah, it really like, but I think with Crystal too, it's like the three of us, like anytime we were doing a project together, they thought we were just like playing.
which is like hard. Yeah,
And it's just kind of like, first of all, it's super disrespectful
Yeah.
to us to think that like you made friends at work and then anytime you're getting together, we're like little kids that need to be. It's that culture too, though, where like the people that we were working for, they hired us being like literally like 20, 21, 22. And then they were like in their 60s and they kind of were like, oh, they're kids or kids. Like you have to see that like you hired adults that are adults and you have to like respect them as adults as well.
yeah.
So I'm super weary of working anywhere where they feel like they're
Above you.
like
I get it.
raising you. Like you're almost like you're a kid. Like I don't trust
know.
that they're actually working. Like if you feel that way, bye then. Like
Yeah.
you don't hire, you're also hiring us and you're paying us really shitty salaries. So you want the person that's going to be, oh, this, and the experience and whatever. You have to stop paying minimum wage and expecting crazy corporate level success.
Yeah,
Sorry.
exactly. I think sales has always been a good method to make extra money and commission and bonuses. I think in the
If they actually pay you
if
that.
they actually pay you that. And then for social media, I think from when I started, I remember I started my social media job. This is what I was like 20. I remember the salary was like 35,000, 32 or 35,000. I can't remember. And at the time I thought that was like, wow, like my first grown up job. Like this is a lot of money.
Right.
And then when you kind of get to like getting to work, gas and all that stuff, you realize that like,
It's a joke.
it's a joke. That's all I'm getting paid. But you know what? Social media jobs have really increased. Like sales jobs have always been great. And that's why I moved to sales after social media. Because it was like, I'm money driven, not what is this bullshit.
1,000%.
But like I would say that some jobs now make a lot more in social media than they do in like even sales now. There's
I
like, it
think-
starts at like fucking 60, 70 now.
I think
5 years
also,
ago, 6 years ago, maybe.
if you're good at what you're doing, you don't have to be limited to one place either.
yeah.
You know, you can work for yourself, which is a lot of things.
Yeah.
That are great. Like, of course, like that's a whole other thing.
But
But, having multiple clients, so like that hire you freelance, you have that freedom that you're not in the office working on whatever. Because the truth is, with social media, if you're smart, a 9 to 5 is like, what the hell are you doing?
Oh my God.
like okay, editing and stuff, but it's such.
That was always
a-
my struggle at that job.
Yeah, it's like you're having to almost slow yourself down and make it look like you're.
It's a
Not to
mess.
say that social media, like you're not working, like you are working, you're working long hours and stuff sometimes, but like if you work smart, sitting at a desk, first of all, you're not inspired.
Oh my
You're
God.
not creative.
No,
You're not, if you're trying to like come up with captions while you're,
I know.
yeah.
So we got fired the same day.
Yeah.
And that story is pretty wild. And I remember okay, so basically I was like kind of saying like, oh my God, like if they let me go, like, can I just be on chômage for a bit? Like I was saying crazy shit like that to the whisperer that I knew would go and rat and tell
Yeah.
the boss. I was saying a lot of stuff like I just feel like, you know, I'm losing my motivation here. They say, oh, we want you to be creative. Here are your ideas. I share my ideas. They're not open-minded to any. It's like,
Anything, yeah.
be like, come up with ideas. Then imagine like you're always being shut down for your ideas. At some point, you're like, when a new girl comes in with ideas, you're like, girl,
Yeah.
sit down. Like, just
Don't
do
bother.
the bare minimum.
Yeah,
Like nothing's gonna
exactly.
change.
Don't
you know,
bother.
like don't
Yeah.
even bother. Just come here and breathe. Like.
Yeah.
And it's funny when you see new people come in and they have that perspective and you're like, girl, give it 3 months. That'll die down.
1,000%.
I know we're being negative right now, but it's not every company. It's just
no, for sure.
it was the
It's just-
vibe we were in.
Yeah.
Anyway, whatever. So I was saying a lot of shit. So whatever. But then so the bosses come back. It's a couple days later and I'm sitting at my desk and then Kathy calls me and she's like, can we speak to you, please? So she brings me in the office and now like, you know, there's like 7 people watching, you know, a boss come up to you and be like, can we speak,
Oh,
please?
you're walking down the hall through everyone else's open concept office. Like everyone's waiting to be like,
Yeah.
what happened?
But I don't think I'm getting fired at this point because sometimes, like, you know, we don't have a meeting. It's like you don't. I don't know. Like, I don't think I like knew it was happening. But whatever.
I kind of had a feeling
You did.
because I worked in sales and I saw our numbers, and I just knew the company was not doing. It was all their old mentality.
Yeah. Anyway, whatever. So they call me in and they're basically like, you're fired. And I remember at that point in my life, I was like, oh my God, like every part of me wanted it, but I still feel like when it happens to you, you don't feel like you're like ready for it. You feel blindsided and you're crying and you don't even know why you're crying because you're like, I don't even want this job anyways. I think it's always the fear of like the unknown and the mystery of like, where does my life kind of take me after this?
If you feel like a loss of identity. Every time I'm like with a company and I'm feeling like I'm like, okay, I am a sales this is the type of company I work with. I work in fashion. Then I was in tech. You associate. So when you don't anymore, you're like, who am I in a
Yeah.
way? Like,
But I have to say, so I got fired, they let me go, and then you went in right after
I
me.
went in right after they let me go.
They let you go, and I remember that in the day we went for breakfast, we
Wait,
cheers.
you're jumping to it. Alessia's car
Oh.
She basically took a cab to work that day because there was something wrong with her car.
Yeah.
No, I picked you up.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, no, so
Yeah.
I picked you up.
No, I slept over and we went together.
Yes. Okay. So, anyways, we go to work together. She gets fired. They give her money to take a cab home.
That's nice of them.
They know that we came in together. You're literally like, but whatever. So when Alessia's leaving in a cab or whatever, I'm called in right away. We don't even have a chance to talk. They tell me during letting me go that they just let Alessia go. And my first thing is, but I drove her here. And they're like, we gave her money for a cab. And I'm just thinking, like, if you think that we're going to our respective houses after this and we're not going to end up together talking about this,
Literally.
like, you couldn't have let the girl wait outside. Like, we're firing your friend. Just give us a minute.
Or like at least giving me the $50 for the cab and then also let me take the ride with Rachel.
You should have, like, had you just waited in the parking lot for a little bit, 2 minutes longer, I would have been there.
I remember I was dating my ex-boyfriend at the time and I call him in the car and I'm like, they fired me.
Yeah.
And he's like, but you were unhappy there anyways. You didn't really want to work there. I'm like,
Yeah, that's coming from someone that has money.
they fired me, literally.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think if anyone here is going through a point where they either got fired or they're unsure what to do with their life, like just know that like everything that happens is like what is supposed to happen.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're not ready for it and you feel blindsided and you're like, how could they do this to me? But it's always for your best interest. And always it's like, I feel like it lights a fire under your ass sometimes. Because I think sometimes we get so, like when we start working somewhere for so long, we feel like, okay, well, whatever. Like
You get comfortable.
You get comfortable and you stop applying or thinking you can get better. And,
Yeah.
and it just becomes like kind of like, you're just on cruise control at this point.
Well, I think it's also like you rarely. Something like that's not going to happen unless it's almost like a mutual feeling. Like you're never going to be like, oh my God, I thought everything was going great. And then
Yeah.
they, like, it's like a breakup. It's like you start to feel it. You're not interested in
Yeah.
them. You don't want to be there anymore. And then someone just bites a bullet and does it. And it's a little like, you're breaking up with me.
Like I'm breaking
but
up with
that's
you.
what you wanted.
Yeah.
Like the outcome is going to be the same. It's just that it's like, it could be a little bit like, ooh,
Yeah, and I
okay.
feel for a lot of people who put their heart, soul, and energy into a company and they almost make it like, you know, like there's certain people that work as if it's their company. And those are the people that I feel the
Get
worst.
screwed over.
That get screwed over. And I think at the end of the day, no matter how safe you try and play life, you can still, if you're working
You're
for
not
someone,
safe.
you're just a number at the end of the day.
You
Yeah, you
are.
might be like really loved and stuff, but who sells a company? What changes? Who loses money? Like it's like you're at the end of the day, you have to think for yourself. And that's why I always try and tell my friends, you know, like it's fine you're working for something, but you should always have your passion on the side, something making a little bit of money just so that you have that security. Because I think what's really scary and what I always felt when I worked for people and I didn't have something going on for myself was that fear and anxiety of just knowing like, what if they just let me go at this point? Like what happens?
Yeah.
You
What's
know,
my next move?
What's my next move? So I
Yeah.
think you always have to have your move even while you're working on something. It makes also you going to work a lot easier.
I think that's even the majority of it. is
You go
just
in knowing like
having
when
something
someone
that,
talks
like,
bad to you, you're like, you'll see. It's kind of like that one day I'm not even going to be working for you. Like you have that kind of like fun project on the back burner that like, and confidence.
you have
knowing,
another like identity. You have something else
Yeah.
that's like you're working on at the same time. It's just the feeling of not having your eggs all in one basket.
And I wanted to talk about actually briefly. I've helped like quite some friends out with this, and I feel like a lot of people think, even with me, like, oh well, but you found your identity. Like you love podcasting. Like for you that works. And like a lot of people spend their whole life trying to figure out what they enjoy doing and how to
Yeah.
make money through it. You're looking to find something that you're passionate about and you're like, I don't know what I like. It always stems from like, what do you enjoy when you're not, let's say, working? So whatever you find yourself gravitating towards when you're not working, if it's like me who was like watching YouTube videos of podcasters, if it's like freaking anything you enjoy doing, then that's what you should follow. That's where your interest is. And then don't always think like, oh, but how am I going to make money with that? Because when you enjoy doing something as a hobby, you'll always find a way to make money with it. So I think it's like, oh, I don't know what I like. Oh, and a lot of people like wait for that thing to like fall on their lap. And truthfully, it doesn't, you know? So it's just about doing things for fun, and then that'll take you into like a business venture.
Yeah.
So yeah. So basically, we both get fired, okay?
Yeah.
And then Rachel and I have this like inside joke we have kind of going on, you know, about our boss, and like, you know, we're mean, like we're petty, we got fired. And I had this like one picture that I was just like, we would laugh about it.
Yeah.
We sound like mean girls,
We sound.
but like they fired us, so like fuck off.
Yeah.
Whatever. So I had this one picture, and I remember I was at my ex's house and I couldn't sleep, and it was like the first week that like we had got fired. And I was thinking about Rachel and this picture, but while thinking about Rachel and this picture, I'm thinking of my boss's name. So instead of taking that picture of my boss and sending it to Rachel, a zoomed in picture, right, of an inside joke
Yeah.
of her face, and sending it to Rachel so we can laugh about it, I'm thinking of my boss's name. So I send the picture to my boss,
Yeah.
ex-boss. And I'm like, oh my God. I remember I even sent you the screenshot of me fucking up and sending it to
I
her.
know,
I'm like, what do I do? Help. Like, how do I fix this? And I literally wrote,
I'm a sponsored baby, duh.
today's episode is sponsored by Joy Mode.
Joy Mode is a natural penis enhancer, I guess. Erection enhancer. It's for healthy blood flow. So I feel like it could be used for a lot of things. We talk about how it could be used for, you know, a first date or something, but I honestly like reading it, seeing that it's like heart health, blood pressure, gym performance. I can see it being useful for someone that's like already in a relationship.
Yeah, we're always talking about like when you're just dating, right? You need to get your willy up. But like, no, let's say you're in a relationship. You know how much shit happens in life where you're like stressed, you can't get it up.
If you're not yet meditating like Alessia and you need to be focused and in the moment, and you know, sometimes your body's not following what your brain is thinking.
So true.
A little bit of Joy Mode
Yes,
and
and
your
I
drink just before.
Yeah, 45 minutes to 5 hours before you might need it. So if you're working out, it's most effective 2 hours before. But listen, guys, you know, you're going on a date, pop it like before you go on a date, and
Yeah.
then watch the whole night be magical. So, guys,
Maybe just don't pour the powder into your drink while she's there.
yeah, no. Definitely like when she says, "Hey, I'm here," or like you said the Uber, then
Just before heading into your cab.
yeah.
No one wants to see powders going into drinks
No.
at a first date.
No, because then you're going to start thinking you're drugging. Anyways,
Yeah.
it just gets very sketch. So, guys,
Yeah.
use my discount code X the podcast at checkout to receive 20% off. Basically, this applies for you and it applies for your man.
I'm a sponsored baby, duh.
Just found this picture in my camera. It's a fucking zoomed in picture.
Of,
Like,
a screenshot of like her personal like Facebook or something. Like it was not like a picture we would have had access to.
no, literally.
Like-
And I'm like, I just found this picture of you in my phone, and I just want to say thank you so much for the opportunity and for having me work for you. I really appreciate it, and I hope everything works out for the company and yada, yada, yada. After, guys, I sent in a zoomed in picture of her
Yeah.
fucking face.
Oh, and this is after. I hope everything works out with the company. This is after me getting fired and being like, yeah, no, I'm in sales. I can see our numbers, like, and we're losing clients left and right
Yeah, I
for
remember.
like our horrible quality control and our everything. Everyone wants to cancel their orders and return, so I can see that's why you need to spare some money. What? No, things are
You
going
were
okay.
iconic.
I was like,
I went in there like, oh my
I'm
God.
surprised you kept us this long because everyone's trying to cancel orders because we create the ugliest crap ever.
You were so iconic. I froze. I was just like, okay, thank you. And you were very like, yeah, no, I totally get why you're firing me. Like, the garments are shit. Like, you're
Yeah.
so iconic in the way you left. It was kind of like they had to rethink, like, who just fired who?
Do we go home?
I
That's the thing about me. Things just are very natural. Sometimes after I'm like, should I have been more like, oh, okay, whatever. I wasn't rude. I wasn't like, yeah, this company is horrible. It was very much like I just turned it into like a, yeah, no, of course. Like, I'm surprised you kept me on this long
yeah.
because we're not making any money. And it's not because I'm a bad salesperson. It's because everything I've sold to people, they receive their things and they're just like, this is horrible.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I think at the end of the day, if your product's shit, no matter how you market it, it's never gonna work. You have to
No.
have a good product. I'm sorry. That's where it starts.
you can't have your salesperson telling everyone, no, we promise though, like these are just the samples. What you're gonna get is gonna be the right color, and then you have everything that like is horrible,
It's like-
doesn't match.
And how do you want to be a good salesperson when you don't even believe in
Well,
your
that's the thing,
company?
too.
It was
There's
a
another-
mess.
It's a lot of like you feel like you're just a bullshit.
I remember being like a fit model, and like they would like, be like, okay, well, Alessia has like the measurements,
ideal measurements,
the ideal
and, like,
measurements, and I'm putting it on, and I'm like, I would never.
We're looking at you and we're like, what the hell? And it's very. I remember them being like, Alessia, tell it, is it comfortable and stuff? And she's like, not really. They're like, great, okay, yeah, put it in production.
Literally, like I'm like, it's sagging. My vagina's not comfortable. Like the seamless needs to still be seamless to my body. And I see.
Yeah. No, oh my God.
Anyway, enough fucking that.
Enough of
I'm so
that.
excited to go to LA with you.
So okay, Alessia and I
Bring the
are-
mic a bit closer.
Alessia and I right now,
Go like
to give them
this.
context about our friendship relationship.
Yes.
We're both single.
Yeah.
We spend a lot of time together.
Yeah.
We
Which is why we're single.
we have sleepovers. We watch our shows together.
Summer
We
house.
cook with each other.
Yeah.
We are like,
We cook
What
with-
time are you home from work? Okay, great. See you in a few.
Literally.
Do we need green beans?
Literally.
It's really much that vibe. So today we're actually going to
Your mom's place up north.
my mom's place in the country.
Can I just say, for starters, you made me more of like a nature girl and more like country bumpkin than I ever thought I was, to be
Yeah.
honest. I think at first when you used to ask me, I'd be like, ugh, no,
There's
like,
so many times, even like my boyfriend had like a place, and I'd be like, "Come up," and like all that, and she'd be like, "No, no," and I'd be like,
I
"How
never
can you not want to?" Like,
I never understood. And I think now the older I get, the more I'm like, I'm going to the club for what? Like, actually, for what? My diet kind of changed. My lifestyle changed. I know I'm not finding my man in the club. I'm like, I'd rather just be with like dogs and being up north in the nature and like breathing that kind of air. It just like, I don't know if a lot of people kind of go through that, but like, it's really,
I'm very much both.
yeah.
I'm not someone that
No, me
itches
too.
to come back to the city. Really, like I live like downtown. I live in the city.
Yeah.
I live in Montreal, and then I have like both my parents have like places in the country, and
Mm-hmm.
so it's that nice like going away. There's certain times where I'm like, oh, I could do 2 weeks of this in a row.
Yeah. See, that's
and then
the
other
thing, though.
times
You
it's
were
like I have things in the city. It's like I won't go up for like a month or so because every weekend I have something in the city.
But I think you grew
But-
up going also, which makes it different, no?
Not really.
Well, now because we think about it, your mom and dad
Yeah.
both have a place. You can go
Yeah.
either direction.
Yeah. Exactly.
I like growing up, my parents were never like people that they were like up north. They were just like, we rather get away from the winter. Like, why am I gonna? My mom was like, why would we pack up more food from our
Yeah.
place to go and be exhausted somewhere else and bring stuff up
But
and
this
like,
was not as kids. We didn't have a country place.
okay, well,
My
anyway,
parents just like this is just like in my adulthood. that they
right, but
bought,
you've always
like,
dated someone who was like up north. I
Yeah.
feel like you've
that was
always
not as a kid though.
okay, whatever.
Childhood dating men. Yeah, no, I definitely always made sure that I dated a guy that had a boat or something, a boat or country place.
Literally. Do you want to talk about your time you were living in New York for a bit?
Sure.
Like, I feel like that feels like a lifetime ago.
Yeah, it kind of wasn't
But wasn't that like your best moments? You're like, yes and no.
Yes and no.
Isn't it weird to think that sometimes you did something in the past and now looking back, you're like, wow, like I didn't realize how much I was technically living the dream. But then like there was so many things my younger self I wish I was like helping out because you were battling.
Do you know what? It's so funny you say that because I had this thought either like today or yesterday. It was like recent. I just turned 30.
Yeah.
So, you know, those feelings of like, people say, like, okay, well, you know, in my 30s, I'm so much more comfortable with myself. I'm so like, I'm at this weird position where I'm like, am I comfortable with myself? I really feel like time flashed by, and there was stuff that I was doing in my early 20s that I just thought like, oh, this is gonna come in my late 20s. I don't even know how to explain what my thought is.
Like you
right
thought
now.
it would happen later on in life and you feel like you lived it earlier?
A little bit sometimes. I'm having that like regret thing that I didn't do enough at the beginning. I was very trying to build a career. I think I wanted the financial stability.
Yeah.
I wanted that, like, oh, I work for a company, whatever. And then I got kind of sucked into working these jobs that were very like, I'm trying to prove myself. It's sales. I'm like this. I'm going to. And then it like not fitting there, not liking that one, moving to the next. That kind of like, that's a big girl job that I should be doing now.
Yeah.
And I should have, I think I should have
You know what I
fucked
think?
around a little bit more in my 20s.
You know what I think is because when you're younger, you think less of the future. Like you're more just kind of like naive in a way. So you do a lot more because you're thinking a lot less.
I think I thought that way, but I did the opposite. I thought that like, okay, I'm going to like have the money and the travel after I do the job. And after I get that like,
But truthfully, it normally
seniority.
happens when you're like earlier in life. Because
Yeah.
the later in life you get, the more you want stability and stuff.
yeah,
You know?
yeah.
But yeah, I think what scares me the most about like life and the world is that we think that like we reach a certain number of age and like our life stops or like
Yeah.
I don't know, I just like I want to have fun like forever in my life. Like I don't want it to ever feel like, oh, I did that trip when I was 20. Like, enjoy when you're young, people say, because things change.
Oh my God.
Like those things is why I feel like people make getting older feel like shit.
I think that's one thing too.
I
never
always
had this
run away from
mentality that was like, it's now or never.
Yeah.
I always felt like I would have a lifestyle that would be still me. I'd still do what I want to do. I'd still like, it didn't feel like be a crazy girl, be drunk every single night, partying,
Yeah.
dangerous now, because then I'm going to be a wife and mother and do
I felt the
nothing,
opposite
like,
of that. I felt like I need to do everything now because I feel young. Like, just like in a lot of ways, I always put that stress and pressure on myself that, like, oh my God, you're here and you haven't reached this milestone. And like, I feel like only now I'm more like, okay, Alessia, like, count your blessings. Like,
Yeah.
you're grateful for this. Like, everything will come in time. Like, chill.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I feel like I was a lot more like impatient when I was younger. That's mostly what I'm
I was
working
more
on.
chill there, and now I'm like, I'm 30.
Right.
I need to make the life I want. I
Yeah.
need to do the stuff I want.
Okay, that's crazy how it's like,
I was more like, yeah, I'm young and whatever, but I didn't feel that like I got to do it now. I just kind of like a lot came to me when I was younger too, I found, because I was in that very like
yes.
comfortable whatever mindset.
Yes.
I was in a like, for sure, I'm going to end up there. I'm going to end up doing this. I'm going to travel there. I'm going to whatever. This is going to work out for me.
That's
It's
always
gonna,
the attitude
so
that works.
everything was coming. And then now in my after COVID, it changed a lot too. It was
Yeah.
like COVID for like how many years? We're all in limbo. And then all of a sudden I'm in my late 20s. And I'm like,
And then you go into
now
scarcity
I'm in
mindset.
scarcity, you know, whatever mind. I'm coming out of it now, but I feel like my late 20s was that scarcity mindset. Almost being like so stressed that I wasn't taking any action.
Right.
Nothing was happening because I was just living in a sense of like
Frozen.
frozen. I don't know what I should be doing. I don't know what this. We've kind of been isolated for
That's
3 years.
so
I'm at the
relatable.
end of my 20s. I'm whatever. And now I'm 30. I know what I want. I know I want a family. I know
Yeah.
I want to settle down.
Can I just say you are gonna be? I
I'm
know
gonna be a
lo-
good mom.
I know a lot of people say like you're gonna be a great mom, but like
Yeah.
you're gonna be a really great mom.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to be emotional, but like I already know if I had kids, like who I would trust with my kids, and like you are number one on that list.
Yeah.
You know, like sometimes you just know people would be good moms,
Yeah.
and like some people just have it.
I would be like giving your kid back to you and being like, okay, just make sure this, just make sure that.
But yeah, that's so
No, no.
relatable. Everything you're talking about.
Yeah.
I had literally the opposite experience in the sense where I was like, I need to start. Like I'm 21, 22. I need to start a business now because what's gonna happen when I'm 30? I had the other mindset where I'm like, if I'm 30 and I'm still working for people and I'm miserable, like I'm gonna want to
Well,
die.
I have that feeling now where I'm kind of like, oh, had I done that, had I maybe not been so lenient and like things are coming to me and stuff, it brought me good stuff.
Yeah.
It's like I have successes. I'm not like,
For
you know,
sure.
But I think had I been a little bit more, I got to pick something, I got to do something, a little bit less like dreamer and a little bit more focused, then I would have put myself in a position now where I'm a little more like, great.
It's so weird though. It's so
but it's
weird
so, like, you say that and then you weren't thinking that there. I'm also like I don't want to live life being like, well, I didn't. Like,
exactly.
it's-
Like it is what it is. We're here.
Yeah.
What have we learned? What do we want now?
Yeah.
100%. Wow, this is so like it's crazy to like talk about.
It's that weird thought. We were like, we're gonna be so funny. We're just gonna joke around.
I
and then we always go through
know.
these
I know you. Well, you put on a
existential, like-
fucking blazer and you said this is a job interview. So I just said, okay, let's go.
Yeah.
Oh my god, this is so sad. Like life is just going by.
Okay, let's not think like that. We're
no.
about to go to LA.
Yeah, I
And
know.
We're still single.
Literally,
we're not getting married.
we're
tomorrow.
so hoping that like LA is. Honestly, it's so weird. I have no expectations of LA.
I've been feeling like that for
I have no expectations,
while
which is gonna
lately.
make this the best trip.
yeah, over planned trips. All my trips that I've taken the last like year or two were so last minute and spontaneous and like, oh, okay, and I'll just extend it or
Yeah.
oh this or like, and that's the best way.
I know.
As soon as you're like planning ahead, it's like
This day, this.
wah,
and that.
wah, wah.
I know. I realize that I'm like you. We're the same. We're very spontaneous. We don't like to plan and stuff.
Yeah.
But with that comes a different type of stress that I never realized I've attached to. So
Okay.
when you're so spontaneous, you don't realize that your body is going through a different type of stress. At least me, for example. When I'm somebody where I'm so spontaneous, but I should actually be more planned because of my stress levels, which affects my skin, which affects everything. If I was more like organized and planned for things, I would be less stressed, which would make me a calmer person. I would be more patient and I would do things and live more in the moment. But because I'm so stressed, because I love this lifestyle of
Spontaneity.
yeah, then it kind of just like backfires in a way. I don't
Right.
realize that I'm putting my body through such stress because I think it's so exciting.
That's like everything in life. Like okay, maybe you don't like jumping out of planes, but that like little fire, like me too. If I don't have that feeling of like I'm stressed or whatever, I feel like I'm not living.
Yeah.
That mundane feeling. I think that's why I've always kind of been like, oh, whatever. I've liked excitement. I've liked this because it feels like not the everyday.
I
Like
know.
it gives you energy. It's like dating where, you're dating someone that gives you butterflies. That feels exciting. You feel like you're breathing life. Are they going to text me? Is this going to, it's like you're living on edge. But realistically, in the long term and for your health, it's not good. Feels exciting. It feels like gratifying every time you get a little like positive
Reinforcement.
reinforcement.
No. Validation? I know what you're trying to say.
Positive reformation.
Maybe, I
That's
guess.
a clothing brand.
Yeah.
Positive
Whatever. You just feel like,
blank.
yeah, blank, literally.
Yeah. Anytime you get a little
A little kick. A little poof.
affirmation, positive affirmation. No, positive I can't speak. Anyways, yeah, you just get that little positive thing and it feels good, but then when it's down, it's down.
I think that was great in my earlier 20s.
So now we have to date ugly guys and be like, oh, he's so nice to me all the time, 24/7.
I have no butterflies, but he's stable. I feel secure. I feel happy. Oh my god. No. Yeah, no.
I was so skinny and a mess when I was younger because I was just always on fucking edge.
Yeah.
And now I'm like more confident and comfortable. Not like the side effect that it did to my body, but like it just goes to show that like I'm talking now about like, oh, when I was younger, if I did this, I didn't know that. I was a basket case. I was like
Yeah.
all over the place. My emotions, so the truth is I wasn't really gonna attract the best relationship. I wasn't gonna have the stable
For
career.
sure.
I wasn't gonna I'm in a position now where that stuff can come.
Yeah.
But they were not going to come with how I was feeling then and what I thought the type of guy I wanted to be with was. And
Yeah.
like,
That's so fucking true. I think now I'm at a point where like even dating, I don't want I want the butterflies in the sense where like I feel like I'm happy and like I think this could be good, but I don't want the question marks. I don't want the like 35 days we don't speak and then you come through. Like I really want stability now,
Yeah,
and I
I
think
agree.
like I'm willing to like give someone 100%. So I need that reciprocated.
It's a fuck yes or it's a no.
Exactly. Like
Yeah.
I think, look, somebody who writes too much at the beginning too, it's like a happy medium, you know?
You don't
like,
want love bombing.
I don't
That
want
always
love bombing, and I
has
want my
always
space
freaked
to
me
kind of
out.
come to my conclusion and think like, okay, like,
Being like clear-headed. Like, you still
Clear-headed.
need your space and to feel.
but I don't
like,
ever want to feel confused in a relationship. I don't want to ever feel like we can't communicate how we feel. Like I
Yeah.
want it to be so open and like, I don't know. It's just such a different feeling now.
I agree.
Yeah. And I think
I'm very content. No, content is bad. I'm happy. I'm like, I'm taking care of myself.
Hold on,
I'm
hold
doing
on.
my own thing.
why
So
is
if someone's
content bad,
coming in-
Rachel? Why is content? I feel like society made content bad.
Yeah, I think it's like because content is like it's just good, but things have to be great.
But why do they need to be great?
don't know.
Because we need to be great, or because why?
Yeah, there's that pressure that we need to be.
But that's the
everything.
problem.
For
That's
sure.
literally the biggest problem.
But I'm like I'm happy with where I am now. But content is my word for it. I'm not thriving.
yeah.
I'm going through real life shit all the time.
But
I'm
like
not,
that is life, and
but
I
it
think
is
we
life,
we
and it's
always
not like-
confuse that. We always think that like this life has to be this huge thing, and that's what I'm really realizing in this year. It's like
yeah.
you're content and not happy, but you are like you have the power to like. It's not gonna come from anything. It's not gonna come from a job. It's not gonna come from owning a business.
As someone that has suffered their whole life of like horrible depression,
yeah.
content is fucking fantastic
Yes.
for me.
Yes.
Content is good.
And I think a lot of the times what we see in life and like social media, we always think we need to have more and be there in order to be happy.
Yeah.
And it's like when you learn to actually just be happy where you are,
Mm-hmm.
you're so much happier than half the people who you think are so much happier than you because they have this lifestyle that you thought you wanted.
Everything comes with its own baggage. There's always something, and not to say like I think it's important to still have like, oh, I would love a house like this one day, or I would have, but I still like I have my little apartment now that I love.
Yeah.
It's cute. It's decorated the way I enjoy it. I want a family eventually. I want to have that tradition of like, you know, the Christmas. I'm someone even just
But
for
like
my
bask
little
in
nieces
the fact that
or my
like
little
you
nephews,
love your apartment
like,
now. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like just
I can see myself doing all these little like
It's
things
so
for like
hard,
my
I f-
future kids.
yeah,
But I'm also in the meantime like I have the coolest velvet pink couch.
but I
That
think
once I have kids, I probably need a big sectional for a family. And right now I'm just like I could have a glass coffee table that no one's gonna crack their head on.
I know.
It's all those little stuff. I'm just like, you know, I'm gonna not do the dishes.
It's almost like we have a hard time enjoying what we have now because we're like, oh well, we need
It's
this.
not good enough.
So
It's-
we're
it's
not
a stepping
living.
stone. You're renting a place now. It's not your permanent. Like, yeah,
Yeah, like
there's
you-
all that kind of talk.
You
all the time.
almost feel like you're like you could never be happy because you have to be going towards something else. And I think it's even like having a business and stuff. I feel like a lot of times we feel like we need this for ourselves, but like
It's always a
truthfully,
milestone.
It's always like a milestone. And yeah, as much as I love this and I love working for myself and like being motivated and like being my own boss, it's like at the end of the day, what more do like this can all go away. And honestly, like I finally came to a point where I'm like, it'll be okay. Which is
Yeah.
crazy. Like I'm grateful and I like want more for myself, but also like I have to realize that this doesn't define me. This isn't me, you know? Like I can have
No.
a family, drop all of this and like I'm cool.
yeah.
Like it's like I'm trying to like not attach myself to anything. Does that make sense?
it's so hard.
It's so hard.
It's hard too because people are always. It's like that typical date question. What are your hobbies? It's like that it defines you. People that are like love cycling or at the gym, like without that stuff, they're not them. It's like, you know, if you're not the podcast girl, well then who are you? If it's not, you know, your Instagram, people associate all the things. You start identifying as those things.
Yeah.
And then when you don't have it, or if something were to happen, you're kind of like, well, that's what I was. It's
Yeah.
just a natural, normal.
For sure. I think now that
feeling.
I've been like on my clarity levels of not drinking and on my diet and stuff, I was telling Rachel that I started meditating.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about that briefly because I think it gets super. Like, I would never think in a million years Alessia would be the girl getting on her fucking mat every day, morning and night, meditating. Like, I can't even tell you, like, I would never think this would be me.
Yeah.
And I want to say, I was telling Rachel, like, it's changed my life.
Yeah.
Like, I have a really hard time being in the present moment. I have ADHD. I have a hard time just like being like, wow, I'm here right now. Let me bask in this moment.
Yeah.
And now I feel like every moment is like precious. It's crazy. And as someone who struggles with, I would say like ADHD for me happens when I'm doing things I'm not interested in. Because when I'm doing things I love, let's say I'm like editing the podcast, never ever would you see my ADHD. Because when you love what you do, you don't get distracted like that. It's very different.
Yeah.
But when you're doing things that you don't love and stuff, that's when I think it shows a lot more. I noticed with me. But what's really good about meditating is that you're so focused on being in the present moment and like kind of breathing in and out and just remembering where you are. So when your mind kind of like takes a turn, you're like, oh, wait, I'm not in the present moment anymore. So you kind of bring yourself back. And then eventually you do it in your everyday life because you're just kind of like, oh, right. Like I got off track, and you're able to kind of like notice when you have that moment and kind of trick your mind and bring yourself back to that present moment.
I don't sit on a mat and meditate and stuff, but
Yeah.
I have anxiety. I used to have horrendous panic
Rachel,
attacks.
this would change your life.
No, but that's what I'm saying. I do forms of that
What do you do?
where I do start doing my breathing.
Yeah.
I touch pulse points. I bring myself back in. It's something like a tool that
What
I
are
was
the
taught.
pulse
Like
points?
you just kind of like bringing back, like you touch like parts of your face, bringing you back into your body,
Okay.
and also just like focusing on things. So it's to get you back into the moment. You're going to be like, oh, the sky is very blue today. Wow. And I can feel the air, and it's very, so you're not spiraling anymore.
Wow.
You're back into your, like into the present.
Wow.
What am I listening? What am I hearing outside? I'm hearing birds. I'm hearing like,
Yeah. So yeah, what are we looking for in men?
I was always attracted to older men. I'm at this point now where it's like,
You need someone on your wavelength that can give you that life, family, and stuff.
yeah, I want someone like fertile myrtle. I think now I want to date someone closer to my age.
Mhm.
And also it's just like what you're looking for is different. Like I would like to meet someone that I'm like it just works with. It's just easy.
I know.
And that obviously like wants like a family and a future and
Yeah.
like a home and everything like that. But still is someone that like, wants to travel and likes
I
like-
think one thing we both realize we cannot have is a needy man. If there's one thing we really like feel passionate about, like we go back and forth. It's like,
yeah.
get out of my space. In a way.
I don't want to be with a guy that's like not around and not like whatever. I want like a
100%.
family man guy, but I also need someone that's he's got enough going on that he's confident. I don't know.
Yeah.
I also like let me just paint it. Obviously, we're rich because any dream future
Starts with money.
starts with money. No.
Absolutely.
I know it sounds
No,
like
it's
really
so bad.
whatever,
That's
but
so bad. After we just had this whole speech about like
we didn't say no money.
that's true. We said being,
Anyway, whatever. It's just like, success, whatever. Let's just say money, no option type thing. What do I love doing? I love entertaining. I love cooking. I love traditions. I want
Yes.
to have that. Like, I laugh sometimes that I'm like, I would be so fine being a housewife because that's all the stuff that I love doing. Like, I love being the center of like people are coming over to my place. I'm cooking. I want to have like, the kids on Christmas are opening their gifts, and I like antiquing and like all that fun stuff, decorating a home. And so I would have to have someone that like appreciates that
yeah.
and is like, yeah, I want you to do that for us.
Yeah.
And maybe I want to be part of it, but I don't see myself being with a super macho guy that's like, I don't know, it's green.
You've also never been into the Gucci, Louis Louis, which I really respect.
Ugh, no.
You want a guy who like doesn't have to.
I don't know. So maybe like some guy that owns like a carpenting company or something.
I could see that for
like
you.
A guy that's like into like houses and renos and
Yeah, I could see
flipping
that for
houses.
you.
I would love that. That would be cool.
There definitely is something attractive about a handyman.
Yeah.
My mom thought that. Let me tell you.
Yeah. To a certain extent.
For sure.
Not a guy on the road drilling catcalling.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, I agree with that. So what is life, Rachel?
What is life?
What the fuck is life?
You tell me.
I don't know. I guess we can like let them know what life is once we get back from LA and we're more inspired.
We might just be totally different people. I
We
might
might-
come back with a Gucci guy.
And you say, fuck those other guys. I want a macho guy.
Yeah. No, probably not. But
What would you say is your biggest goal for yourself this year?
biggest goal for myself this year.
Yeah.
I think I have like a few different
Please.
things.
I think you wouldn't be human if you had one thing.
Yeah. Focusing more on my health.
Okay.
And I think putting myself out there more to meeting someone.
100%. Because I always tell you, Rachel, they ain't coming knocking at your door.
I know. And I'm like happy with my own thing or whatever. And I'm like, oh, but I'd be open to a guy, but I'm not putting myself out there.
You're
enough.
not,
I'm
you're
kind
not.
of like so good with like, oh, I have no drama. I have nothing. But it's like,
That's
and I just see my friends that are like dating, they're having drama. I'm like, I've really put myself out of it. I was like, hell no, I don't want that. But then I realized it kind of like you kind of have to be open to it. a
yeah.
little.
I think that's what's scary when you get so comfortable being alone for so long. You're
Yeah.
like, I kind of got the hang of like this life
Yeah,
alone.
yeah.
So like
But it's a good position to be in.
Yeah.
Because I'm also not going into anything with that desperate
Yeah.
feeling or that like
going in with a desperate feeling always ends
Never-
up
yeah.
being a
with
mess.
anything in life.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay. I think mine is to just focus on being more in the present moment, which I feel like
Sorry, I didn't ask you.
I mean, you are the guest. I'm like, so mine is narcissist. So mine is because everyone cares to know. Yeah, just be more in the present moment, which I think I'm like tackling that slowly.
Yeah.
And yeah. Also getting more like I've always been spiritual, but just like more like religious in a way. Just more like
Okay.
yeah.
We're gonna go to church together.
In LA,
LA.
I'm so happy. You think
If
we're
I'm gonna go to church, it's gonna be in the City of Angels.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. You think we're gonna see like Justin Bieber and Haley and we're gonna be like, hey babe, we're also religious.
Maybe.
That I mention I meditate and then I play another meditation form that's like more motivational of just the Bible verses, but like I'm not reading it. I'm just like listening it. I'm
Like an
listen-
audible.
Yeah. Like I'm
Bible.
listening to it every day and it's like there's so many powerful things that are said that like if people would start listening to this, they would have so much less depression and anxiety in their life because you just know that you like God has a plan and you don't worry about the things that you think are such a big deal because you realize that like you cannot handle everything on your own and nor does God want you to.
Right.
So like just that alone will bring you such peace of mind. Like he has a plan for you. Like why are we putting all this weight on ourselves about everything we need to have in our lives when like we should just live our life.
Like we're trying to control all the
We're
circumstances,
when
but
it's
there's
like-
already kind of a thing. But then I'm sorry,
There's a
that opens up a whole other can of worms. Do we just kind of do
Live our-
anything because we're all getting to that same outcome? We've already got a plan for us, or do we like?
so I have
Do I actually like show up to work?
I have the perfect
Or is it
answer
just 'cause
to
it's
this.
gonna-
I have the perfect answer to this. And it was a quote. It was actually a girl who said this on Instagram. I forget her name. She's like, I try and do both. You know, I try and run for the bus. If I miss the bus, then it wasn't my bus. Does that make sense? So you still try and like live your life not sitting down and doing nothing. Like still
What
try
happens
and
if you drive?
but like it's just like a matter of like doing what you think you want
Yeah.
and working towards it, but not holding such like a, oh my God, if this doesn't happen for me, like I'm not going to be happy. It's like you try and do a little bit of everything.
It's like manifesting when people
You're
say
manifesting,
manifest.
but
it's
you
like
also-
you're taking the actions for it, but then you're also just kind of like
letting it
letting
go.
it go and not being so hyper fixated on the
Exactly.
result.
Exactly. And it's just like, it's not, if it doesn't work for you, it's
Yeah.
not your bus. But if you never tried, you never know if it was going to be your bus. So I think I try and like live both now.
Yeah. It's crazy because life is hard.
Life is hard when you don't accept God into your life and you take the weight of the world on you and you think you have to fulfill and figure out everything for yourself.
Yeah.
When you know that like someone is kind of looking over you and like they have a plan for you, all that relief that you think you have to figure everything out, that weight is off your shoulder, baby.
Yeah.
So here we are going to Bella Thorne's mother's pool house on Monday. So that should be interesting.
Yeah. Very.
I don't know what this holds, but I'll have another episode with you about LA when we get back.
Yeah, we'll have a lot of gossip, I guess. about,
Yeah.
like what's
This one's more about
going
like who we
down.
are, what our life is.
yeah.
And then the next one will be like, we saw Chris Brown sniffing a line on fucking, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, guys, thank you so much, Rachel. It's been real. We're going to drive up north now because we're still together for another week and a half.
Yeah.
So I love you and thanks for coming on.